All right. Good morning. Good morning. We are back with another amazing episode of The Closing Table. I am your host, James Garman.
This is Daniel White. Let's roll.
And you already know how it is, man. Every Monday morning, you are tuned into the best podcast there is on YouTube. And I want to first off say I want to thank everybody that's been supporting this channel over the last 2 months, since me and Daniel started this channel. And it's been a really amazing growth process. And, just being a part of this and seeing everybody come in and support and have conversations about the market when it comes to real estate investments and anything else, just, about life. Because I think we have a broad, outlook on, what we have to talk about on this channel. So, yeah, I just want to thank you and everybody that's been tuning in. But before we get started, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell if you haven't already. And yeah, I look forward to having another great conversation. Good morning, Sierra.
I want to say thank you as well, and it's definitely been an up and down roller coaster for us, right? Making changes, making moves, doing different things, putting ourselves out there, haters, lovers, you know.
Yeah, the whole nine.
Oh man,
I'm
did you have a
super
good
excited.
weekend?
My weekend was pretty amazing, actually. Business. You can't have a great weekend without doing some business, man. And I did a lot of business this weekend. Super excited for what's coming this week. Yeah, man. Weekend. Honestly, I wanted to do a little something with the family, but my daughter had to work, and Bernadette, she was busy as well. But we'll make time in the future. It's no biggie.
I got it, man. It was a busy weekend over here on this side as well. Actually, we were able to throw in some family time last night, just over dinner for about, I don't know, for an hour or so. And
Right.
it's good to sit at a table and have conversations and stuff like that. And again, it wasn't in anything particular, no business talk, no school talk. It was just talking about things that are coming up, things that we're looking to do and stuff like that. So it's always good, man. But yeah, I think as family, as mom and dads and stuff like that, we get caught up sometimes in our business and in everything else that's going on in the world that, you just need to take that hour and turn everything off and just talk about nonsense, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's kind of what we talked about, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, you need that kind of you know back and forth with your family just to kind of shoot the shit, as I'm gonna say, and just kind of have that moment where it's not always serious talk, and just kind of hear a joke from your son or your daughter, and just kind of get that, because we got that last night when we was all sitting at the table as well, eating for about actually I think I was ran about an hour and a half, 2 hours. My daughter was very inquisitive last night, asking me questions and stuff that I didn't want to answer. But it's getting to that point where she's
Come on,
more,
dad.
yeah,
Come on, dad.
she's getting to that point where she's more curious about things, and of course, why not come to the most enlightened person so.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, that's what I do, James. I come to you too, and ask anything.
So,
Oh, no.
all right,
So,
but yeah,
real quick, man, I just got to throw something out there, man. What the hell is going on, man? The guys upstairs can't keep documents in house. You know,
listen, when you allow idiots to run the country, you're going to get idiot situations occurring, which means not everybody is. And I don't think
so the last 8 years we've had nothing but idiots. Is that what you're saying?
nothing but idiots, man. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you know me, then I voted for Trump. If you really know me, I voted for Trump both times. But I'm not saying Trump was the best. I think we could have got somebody better than Trump before we got Trump. So
James, you've worked for corporate America, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Were you allowed to bring documents home?
Never. No,
You
never.
knew, and you knew this, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially like, again, I have a degree in human resources. The only time I was able to bring documents home that had something to do with new hires or stuff like that, but never like personal, budget, anything that had to do with finances, anything. So yeah, you don't bring important, very important documents home. You leave those at the office where they're safe.
And it's so funny because both of them say, one says, well, we have to spend all this money to do all this research and go in. The other one is saying, hey, I made a mistake. Come and get them, handing them over. Doesn't mean you're better than the other one. Like
You both did the same shit.
These damn things home with you, right? It's if James brings it home or I bring it home, right? Guess what happens? We get arrested.
You get arrested.
We go
Yeah.
to jail.
Yeah.
We go to jail, we lose our job, right? And it just seems like, there's this bubble over whoever's in that position. They're not held to the same standard. And then we've got a House Speaker that has to be voted in 17 times.
No, take your time.
Sorry about that.
No,
17 times has to be voted in. Like, they don't want you.
But again, this is not just on a one level. I don't think the idiocracy just run high on one level. I think the idiocracy runs high across the board, because at the end of the day, we are, as people, are the ones supposedly putting these people in place in our society. We're giving them their platform. We're actually saying, you are the person we want to run this country. And I don't think, as a collective of Americans, I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't think mentally we are there yet. I think a lot of us don't even know what the hell is going on in politics. I think a lot of us have an idea of what we think we want based off the small amount of information we get during a campaign run. And it's pretty much all talking points. We all know that. A campaign is just talking points. It's the things that I want you to feel like we're going to do once we get in office. But nobody actually knows what the hell goes on in office once they're actually in office. The overall scheme of being a politician is way bigger than 5 talking points that most of these campaigns run on. So I don't think us as Americans fully understand what the hell is going on in politics, because you got to remember, a lot of us in America, we have at most 10th and 11th grade educations, GEDs, maybe some 2-year college understanding of anything. And we are the ones allowed to choose who's in office. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but we are. So, I don't know. You play those cards how you want.
I think they all need to be on a scale. Like, you start at a base salary, and then if you're very successful, right, and you help the Americans, then you make a bigger bonus.
Right? I agree with that.
That's how it is normally.
That's
right?
Isn't that how
you make more money? You sell a smaller house, you make a smaller commission.
I totally agree with that. Just like any job, but like if you get a job, and again, what are we basing this job criteria off of? Because now it seems like anybody and their grandmother can run for office. Like they sound good giving a speech, and it's like, well, what is your background? What is your education level? Where did you come from? Like now any and everybody's running for office. I'm sorry. I know who my brother is. I know what he's done in life, and he can give a good speech. But I don't want him running the fucking country. I'm sorry. I don't want him running the damn country because I know who he is personally. So
I do want The Rock to run, though. Like,
I would agree with
his eyebrow at the table, at the podium, talking to everybody.
I think he'd be a good candidate. I think he would. And I know we've had actors and celebrities, become politicians before. I'm sorry. Give me his name. What was the president that was the actor? Oh shit! See my history.
I was thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was good, right? He was decent. But we had somebody in the audience. Please help me out with my political history. Which one of our old presidents was an actor? If you don't mind putting that in there. But I don't mind having a celebrity as a politician if they know what they're doing, if they have an education. But I'm starting to think I want my politicians, graduating from Cambridge or Stanford, somebody with some economical degrees and background, something that we can all follow and understand once they break it down to us.
Yep. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the next generation comes up with that, right?
Because true. It's in their hands, right? It's in their hands. We know Biden didn't graduate top of his class, even though he liked to claim he did.
Yeah, but I don't think any of them have, James. Right?
I don't know. I really think Obama. I think he graduated from a prestigious college. Top of his class or one of 2 of his classes, but at the same time,
I will tell you, man, the one thing that I do miss with him, regardless if you voted for him or you didn't vote for him, is the way that he could speak to a crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, that was impressive, man. I mean, again, we've had these conversations before when we go to meetings or networking groups, and somebody's up there and they just grab the audience with just the way that they talk. I mean, it's a game changer, and you're in there listening to it. So yeah, but
And
enough about those crazy documents and all that other crazy
that's
stuff.
true, but I'm sorry, but I gotta say this because you mentioned Obama, and again, I like the way he delivered as well. But if I'm not mistaken, there is video of where he stole all where his speechwriter stole all of his speeches from. So I don't know. I mean, it could be me, but
He's still got a presence at the table, don't they all? You know?
True.
Don't they all have monitors and screens in front of them and tell them what they say?
I think it's just about. I don't know. I don't think Trump ever used his. I don't think Trump ever used his. But you know, that's a different story for another time. But yeah,
man, yeah, okay.
But
very true, very true, very. But
we definitely we want to get into some conversation today, Daniel. And you sent me a lot of great topics this past weekend, and I really am excited to talk about them today. I was able to do a little research on it and figure out exactly where we're currently at right now. And again, you know, it's a lot of recession talk going on.
Funds.
You know that and for me, I'm thinking, and I've said this in one of our past podcasts. We're not going into a recession. We're already in one. That's the thing about recessions. When they're telling you that to prepare for a recession is because they're already in it and they want you to prepare for something that they're trying to work their way out of. So the reason for that is, so if they told you at the beginning of the recession that we were actually in a recession, that would cause panic, and that would cause a lot of different reactions that they don't want. So by going through the recession and then telling you halfway through the recession that we're in it, or we're about to be in it, so at the end of it, they'll tell you we're in it when we're really coming out of it. Just a cycle that they've created, and it's a smart cycle if you ask me, because again, we want to minimize the panic in America.
Understand. So how much time do you think we have, right? Because a normal recession usually lasts like 10 to 12 months. I take December always out of, when I looked at the numbers over this week, I take those numbers in December out, right? There's holidays. It's right after Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. People are out shopping.
Exactly.
We're always going to buy gifts, right? It's always going to happen. So those numbers are skewed, right? But, if I look back at our business, the real estate, if I look back at the insurance side of things here on a local level, I think I started seeing a dip after September, October, November, right? I take December out of the equation, and then January. So when do you think, James, when do you think we turn the corner, or have we already turned the corner?
I think we are maybe another 10 to 15 months out.
Okay.
Because again, as I just mentioned, the recession started 10, 15 months ago. But what they don't tell us is that from what you just stated, most recession lasts 10 to 12 months is because they're not telling us about the first 10 to 15 months. So it's normally from historical events, it's about a 36-month turnaround. Okay. From when the big wigs actually understand what's going on before they actually relay the information to us. So a 36 months turnaround is what we're looking at. Right now, I don't think we're in a huge enough situation where we can say it'll take that long. But I totally agree with you. If we're going to call it, I say we can see what they would call a micro turnaround in the next 8 to 10 months, where it'll be a spike in our activity or productivity that kind of gives us a mask or a overlay to make us feel like, oh, it's not so bad. Things will pick up for a minute, and what we'll do is we'll get calm and we'll start to mellow out and thinking things are like going back to normal before we see another spike in our recession recession here in America, and not just in America. We have to realize this is going to be a global recession.
Global.
Yeah, this is going to be a global recession where there's going to be things going on around the world. But again, let's not look at recession as a bad thing, because again, it's not really a bad thing. What it is just a word that has an effect on our consciousness that makes us feel like it's going to be a horrible thing. And again, it's going to be bad for a lot of people, but majority of our economy isn't going to suffer as we perceive we are, because again, a lot of people have set themselves up financially with savings, understanding stocks and bonds, and investing in liquidities, golds and silvers and other, precious metals. So there's not always the same outcome as there were prior, because we have more knowledge and have more resources today.
I joke when I say this, but I seen it twice this weekend, right? Right now, we have more eggs coming across the Mexican border than we do actual drugs right
Yeah.
now.
Eggs are expensive, man. Eggs are expensive.
So local chain store, right? Publix here, right? Just their brand of eggs. And eggs are eggs, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean,
I don't give a damn where you get
you're
them from,
doing eggs,
right?
You eat as many eggs as you possibly can eat. So I'm always buying the cheaper eggs, man. They're $8.99 a carton right now for 12.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Did I miss that? Listen. And I know I just went to the grocery store. And again, no matter how much money I have, I'm a El Cheapo. They call me El Cheapo in the house. I'm Mr. Frugal. I'm
Take that off of the Elgato camera.
You know what? That's great. That's great. Didn't even think about it, but I might as well sure have. But I'm Mr. El Cheapo in this house, bro. Literally, I'm super frugal, especially when it comes to spending at the grocery store, because name brands to me doesn't really make much of a difference. If it was up to me, if I had $1 billion, I still have great value if I could save 20, 30 cents, an ounce. So that's just me, man. But overall, when I go to the grocery store, and I go to a grocery store here called Ingles, it's closer to my house than Walmart. I don't go for the extra large brown eggs. Now, Bernadette, on the other hand, loves the cage-free eggs or whatever they're claiming they are. I think they personally just spray paint them. Who knows? I don't know. I don't work in the food
It's
industry.
a pretty carton.
It's a pretty the clear carton and everything.
Yeah,
See the pretty brown eggs sitting there, but they want to charge you triple the price for them than white eggs or eggs in the little crates, the foam crates. My thing is, now when I go to the store, I pick up one thing of liquid eggs. First of all, it pretty much saves me from having to crack the eggs open and worry about getting eggshells in my eggs. So liquid eggs is equal to a carton of eggs, and it's only $4.49 for one of those things. But then you go and look at the actual eggs that you have to break open. The same 12 eggs are running you, like you said, $6.49 or $8.99 for 12. So naturally, I'm gonna go for the ones that are in the liquid form, because again, it saves me time and I don't have to worry about the mess. But it's shocking to me that eggs is one of the first things to go up, in our economy. Now, I really thought it was going to be milk.
Do you really know what's inside that box? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Bernadette goes for the pretty box with the brown eggs.
True.
I mean, a carton that's closed. You don't get to see what goes in there.
I mean, that's true. I mean, they could be serving us solid green. I mean, I don't know. We could be in that area, and I don't know if you've ever seen that movie called Snowpiercer. I mean, great movie if you've never seen it, but it definitely has to do with food and everything. But at this point, I think we don't know what we're getting in anything. I mean, there's a video that I was just shown yesterday. There's a 3D printing food machine where they're 3D printing meat. I don't know if you've seen that, but technology is crazy. But we are in an economy where we now have to produce meat by a damn 3D printing machine. And I don't know about you. I mean, but I'm not into eating 3D printed meat. But if there was nothing to eat, I mean, I guess that's where we are, right?
Well, I mean, again, we'll go back to the recession talk and all that stuff. But again, go to your local store, right? And you go to your seafood department and you look in the case, there's more farm-raised fish than there is fresh fish.
Fresh fish, right.
I mean, and when you look at some of these companies out there to invest in and stuff like that, and you hear like they're creating, they're taking a salmon fish that takes, I don't know, a fisherman that watches us is going to hate me, but let's say it takes 7 months for it to grow to like be edible, right?
Right.
I mean, they're taking the fishes now in like 14 days and becoming edible. Like the hormones are a little crazy,
They're
man.
crazy. I mean,
Little,
I totally agree. I mean, I don't want to start, growing breasts just because I'm eating a lot of fish, But at the end of the day, I totally understand where we are. I mean, look at the population. Are we overpopulated? That's a question that is always asking. We're always asking. We're always questioning: are we overpopulated in the world? 7.8 and 8.1 billion, roughly. Where we are. What does that look like on our economy? What does that look like on our future? What does that look like on our our escape plan if we're trying to go to Mars, because the food and the resources here are limited? But if you take a bigger look at the map, there's plenty of places where people could live and people could survive and have prosperous lives. But I think we're all attracted to the congestion of big cities like New York, Atlanta. Man, we're so overcrowded here. Like, I can barely, a person can't. No, you can't go anywhere to fart in without anybody smelling it. We're just that congested in the major cities. I'm not gonna say the world, because there's so many, like I said, places we could go.
oh
But
yeah,
but again, we all like to crowd into these condensed areas of the cities, and it makes it so much harder, or it makes it seem like it's so much harder in the world than it actually is. So I think, a lot of us need to get back to our roots of hunting and gathering, and producing more than we actually go for comfort. And going for comfort means you have to go to the store and eat processed meats and eat processed eggs and eat processed whatever. They're going to start taxing you on those things.
I agree. James, what do you think about people in this recession, or where we are? I'm trying to think of a better word than recession, right? Let's
just call it a reset. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah,
Let's call it a
I
reset.
like it, because when you were talking about it, I was thinking of like red tide and stuff like that.
Right.
Like that's kind of what it is, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so in this reset, what would you say to someone that has a 401k? They're almost coming up to retirement, and not that we are at retirement age yet. So again, this is just our opinion.
Yeah,
We're not financial advisors. But I was speaking to somebody this week, right? And they're like, "Man, I've lost over $100,000 in my 401k."
Yep.
And my mindset is, you hold tight, right? Things turn around. We've seen it. You can look at charts. They go up, they go down, they go up, 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 they go down, they go up, 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 all that stuff, right? But how would you have that conversation with somebody if they came to you and said, "Hey, James, I just lost $100,000. What's going on?"
Well, if I came to someone and they told me and they lost $100,000 in their 401k, my first question is, what do you have left? If you're sitting on another 100,000, 150,000, and you lost 100,000, just like I would tell anybody in any stock market, if your stocks are up and you're winning, you take your profits, right? If your stocks are down and they're down big, why would you sit around and wait to see if they're going to go back up or have a possibility of dropping even more? Take what you have and reinvest. Reinvest properly. Either take what you have out, find something else to invest in, or dump more money in it to, buy down on something that you really know there's going to have a upswing in the near future or the future beyond your vision. So my thing is, when it comes to the 401k, what people fail to realize is that that's something that you control, meaning you can take out that money whenever you feel like you want to take out that money, and people want to look at it as a forever play. 401ks is never a forever play. Those things were introduced on the Industrial Revolution when there was a need to have someone benefit from working at your company and keeping them there because of the experience they have. The Industrial Revolution created the 401k. We are now in the tech industry. We're in the tech industrial revolution, where if your company is still a brick and mortar place that is building furniture, building cars, you have to realize these things are now also being automated and ran by technology. So the structure of these businesses are changing. Technology is running things. So I think at some point you should have some control at your 401k, or be involved in your 401k plan, so you can then help drive the discussion of where this money is being placed, because a lot of these companies aren't stock professionals. They're giving your 401k money over to a secondary company that's investing your money into things that you don't know what they're investing in. And if you're losing $100,000, that means they're investing wrong, and you should have more control over where you put your money. And I think, just let me say this real quick, I think 401ks isn't, like I mentioned, isn't a long-term play. You should put your money in 401ks for maybe 2 to 5 years. If you're planning on being at this job for 2 to 5 years, take your money out and find other places to invest your cash.
And then reinvest, then start it up again.
Then
right?
start it up again. Yep.
So, I think on that there, like, when I had the conversation with the guy, my thing was, look, I really think you need to sit down and set up your SMART goals.
Yeah.
Like, right. Set up your SMART goals prior to you going and speaking to your financial advisor, right? Because if you ever walked into a financial advisor's office, and I love them, right? Like, they have a job to do. My financial advisor is really good. I have an older one, and then I have a younger one, right? Keeps me balanced.
Yeah, cross-reference.
Well, exactly, because the older one's seen it all, right? And the younger one is still trying new things. So that's just how I work, right? But if you walk in there a lot of times, and you've seen the movies, you've seen the stories, you've heard the conversations, they're all like, hey, this is a great product. Do this.
Yep.
Do this one. This is what everybody's doing. Well, I'm not everybody. So I would say, before, what I told him was, sit down and set up your SMART goals. Figure out what you want, what you're comfortable investing in. Figure that out. Then go in and let your financial advisor talk to you. And if he or she is not mentioning some of the things that you have set in place, then it may not be a good fit.
Exactly.
It may not be a good fit, because at the end of the day, it's about you. It's not about him or her. It's about you. And at the end of the day, you need to feel comfortable with what your choices are. So I definitely think right now, during this reset time, if you're losing money in your 401k, like James said, there are other investments out there. There are other good investments out there. Whether it's tech, whether it's Amazon, some other ones. I don't want to give them away, right? Maybe I should give them away. James, myself, right? It's a 4-letter word, starts with an F, ends with a D.
Yeah.
Ford. I think you have to have a SMART plan set in place, right? I definitely do. Do.
And with that being said, like, understanding what your financial goals are in your SMART plan, you have to make sure, like you said, those financial advisors are lining up with it. My thing is when it comes to financial advisors, there's two things. You have to watch out for the ones that don't have enough in their office, and you have to worry about the ones that have too much in their office. The reason why I say that is just based on the fact that a lot of the financial advisors, if they don't have enough in their office, not saying that they're frugal, but it could mean that they may not fully understand how to make money themselves. And then if they have too much, then you have to question, where are you getting all your money from, and what exactly are you advising? So my thing is, it's a healthy balance, as you said.
You just threw my older financial advisor to the curb, man. Like, he does have an iPhone now, right? But he's got his phone numbers in a book, right?
Oh, but listen, but it's good to have those older financial advisors that are still on that, level of understanding, because they can tell you about the trends in finances. They can tell you about the things that have lasted in finances. Now, these newer financial advisors, these younger ones who may be 10, 15 years younger than us, now they may come to the table and be like, well, this new tech is on, this new tech is coming, this new business is going to be doing this and that, So I think I agree with you when you say you need both. But in this economy, understanding your finances is something that you're going to definitely have to have a grip on, because things are changing. They're changing fast, and you can be caught up in that conundrum of, hey, I had money yesterday and I'm broke today. I'm broke today and I got money tomorrow. So you don't want to be back and forth like that. What you want to make sure is that everything you plan is solid. You want to have a solid plan. And I think most people don't have a solid plan. First of all, they wasn't even prepared or planned for a recession, or they're planning for something that's already here.
No. Yep. you talk about tech. I sent you some videos this week about the tech and what's going on in that crazy world, right? All
Yeah.
these layoffs and everything, man. People are freaking out over that stuff.
I mean, that's true. But the things they're freaking out over is you got to realize these are companies they have tenure, they have years in the game, and what happens with most companies like that is that they get comfortable and they do things on a whim. You know, when you're so successful for so long, you stop looking at things from a realistic perspective. Realistically, you know, nobody thought COVID was going to last forever, right? No one thought COVID was going to last 5 years. It didn't last 5 years, but guess what? These tech companies thought they thought these things was going to last longer than it actually did. And as soon as they started expanding and making these decisions to expand and build massive employments when everybody else was laying off and keeping people at home, they wanted to hire more people because again they needed the workload. Like Netflix, for example, during Netflix run and during the pandemic, they made so much money because the spike in their viewership went out.
We didn't have anything to do.
People didn't have nothing to do, so they sat home and watched Netflix. But no one's talking about the company Dibby. I think it's Dibby, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a Disney company or a guy who used to work for Pixar. He created a short film platform doing right before COVID, and his thing was looking to take off during the pandemic, but it crashed during the pandemic because of the structure. I mean, he had investors who invested over $250 million, and his company went straight into the ground 2 months after launching. Like literally, he launched the platform. 2 months later, it was in the ground because no one wanted to spend money on short form content because they didn't have nowhere to go now. They didn't have those breaks. Now they can sit at home and watch Netflix straight through for 10 hours. So no one's talking about those companies that have a short lifespan. We only want to focus on the companies that have these long lifespans like Google, like Facebook or Meta and Twitter and all of these companies that's been around. Well, these companies have been around, but they have taking their eye off the ball, which means what got them to the point that they are now. Right now, I think Netflix or Meta, not Netflix, but Meta has lost over $5 billion in the last 4 months. And they're going to lose more because the focus is now metaverse. And again, I think he's too early, but he knows he's too early. And I think he prepared that, but to us, it looked like he's losing.
Yeah. No, and again, right at COVID, right? All these tech companies, they had to hire people. People were at home. They were using their, computers. They were doing all kinds of things, streaming videos and all of that stuff. So they do this massive hiring, right? And when you look at all the reset conversation with tech companies
right.
and all the layoffs that they're doing and everything, when you really dig down into those numbers, right? And let's say that they had 10,000 employees to start right before COVID. Mm-hmm. They hire 30,000 people. We're 2 years. What are we? 2 years later, right?
Yeah, a year and a half. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, 2021, right? Right. Because we started kind of moving back into normalcy somewhere around June. Normals, whatever. We were allowed to go back out.
Right.
So now today, you're like, wait a minute. We overhired, but we've provided a nice living for a year and a half. We've got to cut back or we're going to go bankrupt.
Exactly.
So they dropped 30%, but that's probably what their normal hiring pattern would have been.
Right.
In a normal universe, a normal world, a normal day-to-day kind of thing. So it is scary because that's the first thing you see. 20,000 people laid off, 30,000 people laid off. Like you have to stop just reading the title. Like you've got to dig in and do the research and figure it out because you go to YouTube and you look at those videos, man, it's 30,000, it's 20,000, 17,000, 12,000 layoffs. It's scary as hell for people.
It is. And again, with that being said, the notion of, like you said, what's at face value? people like to take face value because I really think they like to stay in a state of shock, a state of panic. I think we're conditioned to stay in a state of panic, man, and that's logical because of all the negativity that we see on TV. Anyways, we're constantly watching this, which always pump, fear content. Fear content is where we are in the world, which is fine. I mean, it makes money. Everybody wants to always talk about the next Armageddon, the next the next 1920s, the next stock market crash, and it's all going to happen, but it's not going to happen to the extent in which everybody's so afraid of. There's no need to go to your damn bunker and hide underground with all of your canned goods in the next 5 or 10 years because there's zombies coming after you. Listen, I don't think that's where I don't think that's where we are, but I do think we are now in a time where intelligence does play a part in your finances. As real estate agents and insurance agents, how many people have you lost dropping their insurance over the past 8 to 10 months? How many clients have you had to actually drop their insurance policies?
So in the last 8 to 10 months, if I had gone on a scale, like I would say someone that has their house paid off, that's living on Social Security, and I have it all, at least once a month, somebody will call me and tell me they don't have any family. It's just them. Their spouse passed away, something like that situation. They're like, hey, I'm trying to cut everything that I possibly can cut on that end.
Right.
And my thing is, at that point, what I try to do on that insurance side is like the big expense is hurricane coverage here in Florida, right? Like, if you are set in your mind to just say, I don't want insurance anymore on my home, I don't want to pay it. You say it's a scam, whatever it is.
Right.
I try to look, if we remove hurricane coverage from your policy and you're protected from fire and stuff like that, the other perils,
right,
at least you have something. It's a couple $100, but I would say, probably one or two a month that are calling that are just trying to cut costs anywhere they could cut. Of course, we run different quotes and all of that stuff. I've had an influx in people calling.
There you go.
All right. Because someone like you and I'm like, okay, where can I save money? Where can I save money? And look, I mean, we've got 12 to 14 auto carriers. We've got 12 to 15 home carriers. Let's run it. Let's quote it. Let's see what we can do. People are asking about their life insurance.
Right.
And I refer those out, right? Because I don't have that license. Business owners are calling, hey, my rate went from $14,000 a year to $16,000 this year. What can we do? What coverage am I paying for that I'm not? So there are ways to save money. And when there's a reset on the insurance side, it has always been, even in 2008, when I got my really first scare, right? Because I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Where are we at?
Right.
The insurance, you have a mortgage on your property, you have to carry homeowner's insurance. It's mandatory,
exactly.
Right? You have a vehicle. I'd say that in America, numbers probably higher than this, 85% of automobiles on the road are financed, leased vehicles.
Got to have insurance.
Paid off, right? So what do you have to do? You have to carry insurance.
Exactly.
You have a tag on the back of that car. You want that pretty little sticker. You've got to have insurance. So on my side, I have had an influx of people calling us and emailing us, asking us, how can we save money? What can we do? And those are great conversations, right? Because now we're digging into all the policies that they have and trying to say, okay, you're paying $5,000 a year for insurance right now. We may not be cheaper on the home, but we are $600 cheaper on the auto. We can now get you to $4,200 a year. That's an $800 savings, right?
They can go a long way in this economy.
Roughly, that could be 2 car payments.
Exactly. And what people have to realize is you have to figure those things out. You have to make sure that you're, putting that you got to layer those things properly, And with that being said, the reason why I was asking that question is because people like to talk and focus on the negative. Insurance lost 10 clients. This insurance company lost 10 clients this month, but they're not telling you about the 20 clients that they picked up. It's like it's constantly, it's constantly back and forth. It's constantly, hey, this company lost this, but they're not telling you what they're gaining. Hey, this company gained this, but then they're not telling you what they lost, because it's always this little back and forth when it comes to our, perspectives. And I want us to have a balanced mindset. Yeah, there's some bad going on in the world, but there's also some good going on in the world. You can't have just straight bad in the economy. It wouldn't work. We've already been uncrashed. Speaking of that, the debt ceiling right now.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
Just something really quick, right? So it's something. I don't care what business you are in.
Exactly.
Right? During this reset, if you are not detailed and you are not calling your prospective buyers, right? People that buy your product, whether it's a home, whether it's insurance, whatever it is, if you are not focusing on detail and calling people, there is somebody out there that's like you and I, right? I'm going to pick up that phone and I'm going to call. I'm going to get that business. I'm going to get that business. And that's the difference right now. I'm going to sit on the phone for 35 minutes, 45 minutes with you and become your friend in that 30 to 45 minutes so that I can close that business. And that's something that any business owner right now in a reset, you need to be focusing on details, and you need to spend a little bit more time with your client, your customer, your buyer, or your seller, whatever it is.
Listen, I totally agree. Prime example, I may have a new client that I've just recently came about, and this was a for sale by owner sign that I just called and went by the house to check out. But on my way home, just quick story. On my way home, after I see this for sale by owner sign, stop, get the number, go by the house. This house is right there. I go by the house, beautiful home. Talk to the neighbor. The neighbor tells me the woman's crazy. All right, the woman's crazy. Well, but she said, hey, you should give her a call. I give the lady a call. I literally on the phone with her maybe 2 minutes. She know I tell I'm a realtor and I like to see the house and possibly help her sell it. No, not happening. I'm not dealing with any more realtors. The last realtor I had left my door open. My pipes froze and busted. My house, flooded. And yeah, I'm not dealing with it. Okay?
I'm ready to buy.
So she says, I'm not selling. I'm not using a realtor. Goodbye. Pretty much goodbye. Okay. Boom. So we hang up. I'm driving. She butt styles me. She literally butt dials me. All right. But she hangs up. So I look at the beautiful wife and say, hey, I'm gonna call her back and ask her, is she ready for me to work for her? And she's like, what? I'm like, what? Wait, I'm gonna just call her back. I call the lady back and say, hey, I just got a missed phone call from you. She said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I said, oh, okay. Well, I thought you was calling me back because you was ready for me to work for you. She said, huh? I said, well, I thought you wanted me to, sell your house for you. And she got into this long conversation. We talked for 35 minutes. 35 minutes. And that conversation ended with, call me back Monday. I'll let you get the property for 30 days. See what you can do for 30 days. But see, that's just how conversation go. It's not always about the sale. It's not always about trying to get someone to, let you do something. It's about building real relationships, building real rapport with people. That's how people survive. The reason why some of these businesses and these companies don't survive, even the big ones, is because they lose touch with the people. They stop asking the people what they want. They stop asking the people what can they do for them. They stop asking the people how can we be better. They just think they know. The same thing with these big tech companies we was talking about earlier. They think they know everything, so they just keep pushing the narrative of buy me, use me, versus asking the people, how can I help you? What can I do to be of service to you? And that's where a lot of even entrepreneurs and small business owners fail, because they forget how to reach the people. Reaching the people is your number one. Who's going to answer the phone when things are bad? Who's going to be a helping hand when things are bad? Not for the big charities and you donate your little tax dividends to these huge charities, but who's going out there to the community and actually asking these people, how can we help?
Asking, listening, right?
Yep.
Like, and on your side, James, it's sales are all over us.
Yep.
You have to have some confidence in yourself, right? Maybe, well, I don't know. You're a pretty confident guy, but maybe 15 years ago, that confidence wasn't there. You
wasn't
just
there.
Let it go.
Wasn't there.
Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You just moved on, right? But you're like, no. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that fire. You've got to have that, like, oh, you know what? they, you, I don't take no as the first answer, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta tell me 2 or 3 times, right? So yeah, man. Well, good. So today you're meeting this lovely lady, and
Yeah, having that conversation with her again. Even if she decides to not let me sell this property, I still want to see how I can service you or help you in the future. It doesn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It could be in the future. So opportunities can always come about that may not only benefit you today, but may also benefit you in the future. So relationships. You're building relationships. You're building opportunities.
You are building a relationship with her, right? She already had it in her head that she didn't want to deal with any realtor or any broker. She don't want to deal with your BS, right? That's what they all think, right? But again, at the end of the day, we are a profession. We are a recognized national organization. Like we are held to higher standards when we are selling or buying homes in America.
Exactly.
And what you just did, you may not sell this lady's home, but now you have a relationship with her. Let's say that you show up to this house and she's got 10 people ready to go for sale by owner and buy the house. Guess what? Not all 10 of them are going to get a house.
Exactly.
Right? You know, she's got an aunt, a cousin, a nephew, a son, a daughter, whatever it is that may be looking to buy a house. And you're the guy that just said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were ready to buy. I thought you were ready to, I thought you were ready for me to go to work for you." This guy is oozing with confidence. Take him.
Use him. Yes.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you know, there's so much opportunity in this, what we call a reset, you know, not the recession, the reset, because it has to happen. You know, it has to happen. People have to learn that you can't live the same lifestyle you was living 10 years ago and think that that's what life is. If you're spending $1,000 a week on extra entertainment, just entertainment, that can't last forever. What the government and the economists are doing is telling you this is the best route for you to survive. We want you to survive. So since you couldn't come to the realization that you needed to stop spending, then we'll make the decision to create little obstacles for you to not spend so fast, so much, so fast. So that's what this whole thing is about. Let's talk about the debt ceiling real fast. The debt ceiling is a new situation, and not the first time the situation has come about. It came about during the Obama administration as well. I think we had a debt ceiling crisis where the government has spent so much damn money. Now I know he's your guy. I know he's your guy and everything. But I do blame Biden for this one. Now, I'm just being honest. You set up.
Today's always about controversy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen,
he's waiting to have a cup of coffee. Can we hurry this show up? I got a call.
Listen. This guy got in office, and first of all, he did some smart things.
Be careful.
Hello, I'm not going to go too deep. But there was a lot of money given out when Biden first got in office, and he gave a lot of money to areas of our economy I don't think really need serviced at the time. But okay, if they did, they did. I'm not an economist. I can't say what all areas need to be serviced. But one area I know for a damn fact didn't need to be serviced is the $20 billion that was sent over to Ukraine. Now, don't get me wrong. $20 billion is not much in a pot of trillions.
90 trillion,
right?
I think it is.
Trillions that we are now facing when it comes to this debt ceiling. But at the same time, why now do the American economy of our patriots and our healthcare workers and our public workers have to suffer from and have to sacrifice not getting paid for months, depending on how this thing could possibly turn out? Because we know last time I think it was shut down for a month. The White House or the government was shut down for a month. That is a month of payments that people are missing out on paying their mortgages, their car notes, their insurance, buying food, buying healthcare, whatever these things cover. And there's no incentives. There's no incentive of, hey, if we cut debt by cutting off your checks, you don't have to worry about those late payments on your mortgages. You don't have to worry about those late payments on your car note or your insurance, because at the end of the day, they don't care to an extent about what you don't have in your savings. Those things should say they're not focused on people's savings. They're focused on saving themselves, which saves the economy, which makes sense. And if we allow you to miss those payments and not be accountable for them, after everything's done, then those other bigger companies are going to suffer. We don't want Daniel's company suffering from us cutting checks off. So whenever we give you your check back, you still owe that insurance, you still owe that mortgage, you still owe that car payment. So this debt ceiling situation, I think it could have been addressed earlier when we was giving out all this money to all these other countries that when we could have used it ourselves.
James, I agree with you on two things, right? Because I know we're getting to the time here,
Yes.
right? So real quick, there's a shit ton of equity in everyone's houses right now based on the last 12 months, most houses,
Yes.
right? So banks are looking at it like, hey, if we got to foreclose, we got some equity there. We've got all of this stuff. It's crazy. We have had these conversations, you and I think off record, we've had these conversations, regardless of who I voted for, what we're doing, and the money that we are sending over.
Yeah.
I'm so over. And again, people may not like it. I am tired of organizations here in the United States. I know that certain people will say, well, we have to do certain things out there to protect those people. And I agree with that. But when I drive down my road in a community where the average home in my little zip code is probably 400,000, and I have people living on the side of the road on sidewalks, and they've been there for 2 or 3 months. I mean, I've probably spent $50 to $100 on that guy, right? And his little girlfriend or whatever it is, with water and food and all that stuff. Like, it hurts me that we don't do more here on a local level, with people that are starving, that can't make their rents, that can't put food on the table for their kids. I'm getting ready to do a shoe organization where we're trying to give out 20,000 shoes to children just in Florida. 20,000 kids without shoes? Come on. Like, something has to change. Something has to change. Like, right here locally, we've got to make a difference.
I totally agree with you, man.
$20 billion, that goes a long way, man.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Like, literally, with only 7.8 billion people on the planet,
Yeah.
you gave everybody $1 billion.
Oh, no. We'll give it to somebody else. We'll give it to somebody else, but we are not going to give it to our own, right?
We're not going to give it to our own. No.
How many people are in America?
470 million, 700.
Like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. So we have enough money, but then if we did that, then we have to look at what that does for financial inflation. If everybody had $1 million, then your bread is going to cost you 10,000. Then that car is going to cost you 100,000.
Oh, I'll tell you what, before that check hits everybody's bank account, I'm going to go buy Tesla, because that's where all the young people are going to go and buy.
I totally agree with you. But yeah, man, honestly, I totally agree with you with everything you just said. But we've had this conversation as well on another podcast. Can't remember exactly which one, maybe 2 or 3 podcasts ago. But we don't need to fix the homeless problem, because without the homeless problem, we can't funnel those $20-30 billion into the pockets of the wealthy. You can't funnel that money into the pockets of the people who are having these organizations who aren't actually looking to help people. Yes, I feed you a few times a year. I give you some overnight shelter, but we don't actually want to fix the homeless problem. And if I think the numbers are serving me correctly, and I don't want to go too deep into this today, the numbers serving me correctly, there's over 230,000. No, is it 230,000 homeless people in New York? And they said there's over 340,000 vacant units in New York City.
James, I mean, whether your numbers are right or wrong here, that seems about right. I was just in New York a couple months ago. It's crazy. Just the prices alone to rent there are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Me, my wife, my grandmother, we went for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days. I spent over $5,000.
Oh, wow.
In New York. Now, we went to 9/11. We went to the museum. My grandmother's in a wheelchair. We had to Uber, all that stuff. So, if it was just me and the wife, it may have been a little bit cheaper. But, I mean, $5,000 for New York.
For 4 days.
A meal, not at a fancy restaurant or anything like that, was $300.
Oh wow.
$350 for the three of us.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's crazy. And then the people on the street, absolutely, man. Yeah, all day, every day.
That's crazy.
When it gets nighttime, you could just see. I mean, they're all over the place.
Oh
right?
wow, that's crazy.
Yep, it is. So that number's, and I was in a small little section. I was just in, Times Square. So I can't even imagine all over the place.
All
right?
over the place, right?
And,
You got
talking to all the Uber drivers and all of that stuff. I mean, when COVID happened, that was real. Like that was, they live on top of each other.
It's amazing. Oh, real quick, you got the question to answer for me this week, man. Biggest accomplishment to date. Biggest accomplishment to date.
Again, my children, my relationship with my wife are just given, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been together for 22 years. We have a 19-year-old. We have a 16-year-old. So those are given, right? Those are just one of the things. But I thought about it and I changed my answer and my response.
Okay.
Because, and I was talking to Destiny about this, is that one of the greatest accomplishments that I have right now in my life is the way that I feel about myself right now. Right. And let me just quickly explain.
No, please.
I've never, ever lacked confidence or believing in myself, but I just wasn't fully there. And it was about 3 years ago when I was like, you know what? I've got to make a change in my life. I can't tell my kids, hey, I don't want you to ever look back on something and not do it, right? I don't want you to come 10 years forward and then be like, man, I should have done that 10 years ago. And that's what I was almost doing. I was very comfortable in my position. I was making good money. I was doing my things. I was going on vacations. But it's when I stepped outside of that comfort zone and I said, you know what? It's about me. Like right now, I'm in the driver's seat and I'm the only one that's driving right now. So guess what? I got to make it to the top of that mountain. And when I opened up the insurance business and I branched out on my own and I started moving forward, and the belief that I had in myself, and I just kept seeing when I started seeing progress and then more progress and more progress, and then the real estate, then the insurance. And now I've got 3 employees. I have 2 independent contractors. We have a real estate team that we are building. So right now, my greatest accomplishment is what I've done in the last 3 years with myself. And I'm not trying to sound conceited or cocky or anything like that. I think this goes for anyone. If you're out there right now thinking that you can't do it, or you're working for somebody, guess what? If you're working for somebody right now, they're making a shit ton of money and you're working for them.
Exactly.
So imagine if you could step outside of that comfort zone. Sky's the limit for yourself, right? Don't sit back anymore and wait for something. If you believe in something so strongly, like I did, James, I believe that, man, there is nobody out there that's better at selling insurance than me. There's nobody out there that can have the conversations and sell or list the properties like I do, right? I'm a people's person. So if you're that individual out there right now thinking about, man, I should go open up my own business, or I should go do this, stop it. Because 5 years from now, if you don't go and do it, you're going to hate yourself for it. Get out there, put yourself out there. When you open up your business yourself, you've never, ever worked so hard in your life. But you've also not smiled as much neither.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, it's a difference. So my greatest accomplishment right now is turning the table and actually believing in myself and knowing that I can do whatever I want to do right now.
Listen, man, round of applause for that, because honestly, I salute it, man, as a person that's on the same plateau as you and just trying to keep exceeding where I come from to where I am. I totally relate, as I mentioned in my statement, the not even the struggle, the journey of being able to go from choosing that path to now becoming what I would consider a leader in this industry or multiple industries is a proud accomplishment. It's not conceited at all, bro. It's not conceited at all. What you stated has nothing to do with the perception of if you're better than anybody else. Because first and foremost, you know you couldn't be where you are right now without the support of your beautiful wife and your beautiful children.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. Like that's for any proud man or woman that's out here doing what they're doing with wife and kids. You put them first regardless. So on that basis, I double salute you for that, man. And I want to see where this thing goes, bro, because I know that there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Destiny's commenting and all
yes.
that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm already seeing round of applause. Yes. Yes. Yeah. All right. Listen, everybody, thank you. Please, if you can next week, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything you want to say in this chat while we're going live, please put anything in here to broaden the conversation. We love to hear from you. And if anybody would love to join us next week, I'm gonna do this. If anybody would love to join us on this platform next week and give a call in, we'll have you call in and join us on some conversation, and we'll have that set up next week because
we can talk about Google and Elon Musk partnership.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
We didn't get to it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually a good conversation. But sometimes the conversations they evolve and we go down these rabbit holes that lead us into deeper, mindset. So I love it. But yeah, next week, please jump in the comment section. Even right now, jump in the comment section. Let us know how you felt about the show once we're off the air. And leave us a nice little comment. We appreciate it. It helps us get into the YouTube algorithm. Thanks to all the new people that joined in. We had a nice amount of people watching today, showing some love. Again, this is The Closing Table. I'm your host, James Garman.
It's Daniel White.
Until next time, talk to you later.
See ya. All right, man.